Okay, check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
So you one that you'd like to share, or like something that you couldn't talk about in the, or didn't have time to talk about in your presentation that you'd like to point out to each other or something?
Right.
Ooh. I've the sub that you had
Right.
come out. How deep did it go, and how deep did the whale sharks go?
The whale sharks went over 1,000 meters, but I think we had one almost reaching 2,000 meters.
2,000 meters deep?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
And what they didn't realize was a lot of times when we thought the whale sharks had disappeared, they were actually just foraging in the bottom, and they'd stay there for most of their time. And then when we see them on the surface, it's actually the smallest part of their time is when they're sunbathing to put their temperature back, core temperature, bring it back up. That's when we're having these brief encounters on the surface, which is super cool. So a lot of the stuff is happening is super deep, you know.
Is that why you think nobody had really seen them before in the past, or do you think they still spend most of their
I
time?
think they've always been there, you know. It's just that we have cameras and we have a lot of boats around and a lot of stories that fishermen tell. Now you can actually go with a camera and check them out, you know, and that happens worldwide, isn't it? A lot of stories that we find is things that a lot of the locals knew for very long that they were actually there, and we feel like, wow, we came here and explored this for the first time, but they knew about this for 30 years. I have a lot of tuna fishermen friends, and they say, your documentary was amazing, but I know about those whale sharks for like 30 years.
Wow.
You know?
Well, I was really impressed. I would love to come and dive Azores. I mean, I never knew that there were whale sharks here or basking sharks, and that was a blue shark.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
or, I'm sorry,
the
blue whale. Blue whale.
No, the Azores is actually nowadays the best place in the world for diving with blue sharks. So if you like sharks, if you're into sharks, we don't have any ice, unfortunately, for you.
I need
We have a
I need
few
warm
wrecks.
weather in my life. What's the best time of year to come and dive?
When the water's warm, so mid-July to now, like October, November. Yeah. What about ice diving? Well, for me, I heard that you were using a heated everything, right? Gloves, the whole suit. Right?
Actually, I'm not using the heated gloves, but I use a completely fully heated undergarment,
Right.
the Santi Flex 2.0,
Right.
and it was a game changer for me because I would normally not get too terribly cold, but being able to it has an external battery, being able to flip that on, it like really takes the edge off, and
it's always on. You keep it always
on
on
those
if you're
types of
underwater.
dives, yes. Like when I do 60 plus meter dives, no, I wait until the decompression to turn it on, so it can off gas better because I don't you on gas more if you're warm. So I typically wait.
And you use a small battery or the big one? They have two sizes.
I
Right?
use a big battery because I don't want it to run out.
Right, me too. But they kept it at the airport in Iceland because it was too big to fly with. And I have small ones. And when I turn them off, I'm freezing after 30 minutes or 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's a bad idea to turn it off. That's why I want the big
Yeah.
battery because I don't want it to
Yeah,
just
yeah,
stop
yeah,
working.
yeah.
But yeah, I did like maybe 5 or 6 polar trips with no heat, and then I got the heat, and
Yeah,
it's
it's a
definitely
game
been a
changer.
game changer.
And the
Yeah,
gloves,
especially
yeah.
like that video that you showed with the penguins and the wind.
Exactly.
It helps. Nothing helps the face, but
True. Well, you're a very good interviewer. I think we did a good job here.
I have that journalism degree.
Really? Yeah. Wow, I have a law degree. Look at us, living the dream.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Since the motto of
I would say probably one of my favorite dives was when I first started diving in the Great Lakes. I had dived other shipwrecks in other places before, but to me they were just sort of like kind of hunks of metal. I couldn't really make out that they were a shipwreck. And then I go down on these wrecks in the Great Lakes that are 150 plus years old, wooden wrecks that look like they came out of a Disney movie, and like you could pick them up and sail them away, and they look so beautiful. And I would be shooting these wooden like schooners with the mast standing, and I'd actually have to take the camera down and look up with my own eyes because I'd be looking in the viewfinder going, that doesn't even look real. Like, how can that even be real? And the Great Lakes is my number one favorite place to dive anywhere on the planet because of the preserved shipwrecks, and every time I'm just in awe of seeing them.
That's the cool thing about your pictures is in these glacier waters, there's like almost infinite visibility, and you don't see water. You know, it's like everyone's floating in the air. I think for me probably it was orcas and humpbacks in Norway, because it just feels like it's one of those last big nature spectacles that are still survived in our ocean. I mean, there's more herring than people in our planet in the fjords of Norway in October, November. So it's just like billions of fish. You know, you're talking about, I don't know, I would see like a few hundred, at least 3, 4, 5, 600 whales a day. You know, you're just cruising, and there's orcas and there's humpbacks and there's fin whales everywhere, and it's so hard to just go somewhere like it's so pristine. You know, even Antarctica for me, I expected more. You know, I was never like surrounded by millions of penguins or anything. I'd see penguins every day. I'd see a few.
Were you in the peninsula?
I was, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I mean, it's also a whole continent, so it can't be. You can't have everything everywhere, you know. So
That's
yeah.
why, to me, I go to Antarctica and I feel like once you cross the Drake Passage in 10-meter seas, it's like the clouds like part and you see the continent, and it's like you're visiting another planet.
Yeah.
And I don't know, to me it's surreal every time I
Let's
go.
not talk about the Drake Passage. I still get seasick when I think of it.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Terrible.
No, we're lucky. I think we're very fortunate. Every time, I don't know about you, but every time I come home from one of these places, I feel very fortunate to see them, because I don't know, there were places I read about in books when I was a kid, and I saw in documentaries when I was a kid, and I think it's important to show people like the work that we do, because one, they'll want to protect these places, but then they see that they really exist. Like
Yeah.
they're not just a place in a book or in a film. Like,
Yeah, definitely,
and
definitely.
seeing that with your own eyes, it's pretty surreal.